push-ups. I've been doing sit-ups. I've been doing chin-ups. I've been doing pull-ups. I threw up once, but I'm okay now.
Oh, what a difference a week makes. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Ysn Power Hour. DJ Yoakley with you. Appreciate you riding shotgun with us here today. Got a great show for you. Tristan Reynolds, the new East Palestine basketball coach for the varsity, pending board approval, joins us here today. He had his big time scheduled here today as he was officially, I guess unofficially, made the head basketball coach. Had him stop by. As you know, one of our favorites here is Tristan. Has been since we started the company, and finally getting his shot today. We sat down with him for about 15 minutes, talked how excited he was about getting the opportunity here, of all places, in Bulldog Country, in Stream City, USA. So we'll have that in just a little bit. But before we get to anything else, you know what we got to do. It's on this day in sports history. Let's hit it. On this day in sports history, kind of a bummer here, depending on which side of the coin you end up on. Legendary Major League Baseball right fielder in 1983, Reggie Jackson, is the first major leaguer ever to strike out 2,000 times in his career. Let me repeat that. Strikes out 2,000 times in his career. Now, the interesting thing about all this, ladies and gentlemen, is the fact that Reggie Jackson is still looked upon as one of baseball's best, and he struck out 2,000 times. If that doesn't tell you need to get back on the old wagon, then nothing will. That you can still be looked upon as a success, even if you strike out 2,000 times. That is what is impressive to me here today. A lot to talk about. Talk about upset central, ladies and gents. Last night, I watched YSN across the board. I was getting the text messages from the announcers. Hey, turn this on. Hey, turn this on. You're not going to believe this. I don't even know where to start with this. I don't know where to start because I don't know that I can pick my favorite. I love upsets. Underdog stories just fire me up. Probably will watch American Underdog tonight. Anthony got it in the back of my head as I was on Running Point breaking the news about the East Palestine head coaching jobs for the football and basketball. And now I just need that juice. I need that juju, right? It's 80-something degrees, so maybe I won't. Maybe I'll wait till this evening to turn that on. But I will say this, it's good seeing competitive sports. Right. We saw our share last night too of one-sided victories, a no-hitter in South Range. Congratulations to the Raiders on that, blanking East Palestine. I think it was 18-0 was the final score in that one. Sam Suzanne, I don't know if she teamed up on that. I feel like she did, but I'll have to reread that. But the biggest thing for us is when we see these upsets, and obviously from our standpoint, again, when you have to pay the $9.99 to get all these games, you want to see competitive games. You want to see games of teams that are going head-to-head. They're going toe-to-toe. They're going pitcher's duel. They're going, offensive explosion, whatever that may be. You want to be entertained. You don't want to see these, for example, the 18-0 South Range versus East Palestine. And we talked about it during football season. You see those more and more the year that they let everybody into the playoffs in football. When you let everybody in, you're going to get a lot more, or I guess a lot less parity. Very rarely do you see the 24 seed beating a 1 seed, right? Very rarely do you see a 16 seed beating a 1 seed. But when you get the 11 seed versus the 5 seed, and I warned you, this was going to be a year that seedings mattered very little. Very little. Now, we got past the first round, right? The sectional round, so to speak, and into last night, where we saw some upsets. We saw some upsets from around the area that were very, very intriguing. They were very, very intriguing. Everybody's darling, one of our darlings, Champion, upset last night. I got that text message and I could not believe my eyes. Certainly not my favorite, because it was a non-YSN school that ended up beating up the Golden Flashes. But the one that caught my eye, the one that caught my attention, and I'm going to give a lot of credit to Chris Sigler on this, because he not only did he have the call, but he had an absolute bomb write-up last night, this morning on ysnlive.com. Gave me chills. Like goosebumps still going. The Crestview Rebels were upset by the United Lady Eagles last night at Crestview, at the Escradome, right? One of the most beautiful natural ballparks you're going to go to in softball around here is Crestview. They protect their home field very, very well. And last night, the Lady Eagles flew in to the View, and they flew out as sectional champs, right? They flew out in a huge upset that very, very few predicted. I would say the locker room of United and their parents. And, of course, the announcer. But anybody else, if you would have put Skittles on that, I would be willing to bet and willing to bargain that everybody would have bet Crestview. This is why sports is so great. This and about a million other reasons that we're going to get to in just a little bit. But you had that game, which I could not believe my eyes. Could not believe it. Sutton, one of the best pitchers in the entire area, going against another one of the best pitchers in the entire area in Firth. Toe-to-toe. I love that stuff. I love it. I can't get enough of it. If you paid $9.99 and got to watch those games last night, you got every penny's worth. Every penny's worth. In that game alone, you got your money's worth. That was an instant classic for so many in United. And I will argue this, while Crestview is a very, very spirited crowd, I would argue that in United, it is very challenging to get a crowd as spirited as they have in United. Oh, baby. Wow. I've witnessed it firsthand. I've witnessed it third hand. You could hear them last night. That crowd was electric. It's a softball game. How that doesn't get you excited, I'll never know. Sports are so important around here, and last night they proved it in such a big way. Any team can win on any given night. They are who we thought they were. It truly, to me, and this wasn't a case of Crestview gave it away. This was not a case that, well, if we could have done this here and this here and this here. This was United saying it's us against the world. Ladies, well done. Well done. Just how are you not excited for teams like that? And obviously, if you're on the Crestview side of things, it is a bummer because this was a special team. Absolutely special team with players that have played their last meaningful game in a Rebel uniform. And I respect the hell out of that. I love, well, listen, there's no team up here, zero, that when they lose a game like that, it doesn't hurt me. It doesn't absolutely, like, I feel it. We as announcers feel it. But as much as heartbreak as we feel in the agony that we look to, we are absolutely elated for that other team that if they are a YSN team, the work that they put in, the time and the effort, the resources that they've put in. And I love, like a couple weeks ago, Chris Ziegler and I got to call a game. I got to call a game. I should say, I got to call a game. I was lucky enough to call that game with Chris Ziegler. And that's a United team that can be very dangerous, folks. Softball, very much so different than baseball in the fact that you only need one pitcher to get you through the entire tournament. And Tori Firth is like, she's the real deal, folks. She's the real deal. Chris Ziegler chiming in says, best single inning I've seen in a long time is that 7th inning. And Siggy drummed up the drama. Drummed it up very, very well. And the funny thing about that is, if it was the other way around, Chris would have shown just as much love to the Rebels had it gone the other way. The excitement in his voice last night, you cannot replicate just by going out there and winging it. The authenticity that he showcased last night during that game. And I'm going to give the announcer love too. Chris did a phenomenal job for a guy that has a full-time job. That's not YSN. That's not announcing. This is just one of his side hustles. It's one of his gigs. His passion last night oozed out of his pores. And a phenomenal call of a phenomenal game, of a phenomenal inning, of a phenomenal season, of a phenomenal. It just goes on and on. The thing that is great about sports is the same thing that sucks sometimes, and that is only one team can win, and one team has to lose. And when you look at last night's game, you wish that both teams could win. But United, I'm not going to say they wanted it more, but they were ready. They were prepared, almost as if they had it scripted on those armbands that they wear now in softball and baseball. It was like they knew every single situation before it happened. And kudos to the coaching staff. Kudos to the fans. Because fans are a big part of that momentum swing. Huge part of that momentum swing during these games. Another upset last night. Columbiana losing. It truly, like, it shocks me when I see this because you look at all the talent we have across and teams that, listen, I'm going to say it. I said we'll be there. Upset in the first round. It's a challenge, folks. People laughed at me. Almost hysterically laughed at me when I said our area is a hotbed for baseball and softball. Football, great, right? Great. We're putting kids in schools and we're putting, giving them opportunities through football. And listen, I am a huge football advocate. I don't want people to get this twisted. But I've known for a long time that this area is baseball hungry, softball hungry. And the kids, the coaches, the parents that are going out there. Baseball and softball never got recognition before 5 years ago. I don't know what changed. I can't imagine what has changed in the last 5 years that baseball and softball now has a magnifying scope on them. It's always been like this, folks. It's always been like this. Back to the days of guys like Aaron Walker, Todd Kibbe, Aaron Gabriel. Anthony can name way more softball players from this area than I can, so it's not even a contest. But I will say this is they did it on their own. They did it with limited headlines. They did it with limited opportunities. And now that you have YSN and different streaming organizations similar to what we do, and you can see these kids and you can watch them in a much closer clip, this is the difference. Baseball and softball players, track athletes have been here the entire time. And we just didn't know it. The papers give you a snippet, right? They give you this. You get 30 seconds on the news. Maybe. But the reality is this is Boardman won an AAC championship outright last night when Austintown Fitch lost. Another upset, by the way. Howland coming through, and they just poured it on in that late in the game, and Boardman sitting there just like Mr. Burns from The Simpsons. Excellent, right? They did their job. They beat Austintown Fitch 1-0 earlier in the week, and then last night and today, they are the sole champions of the All-American Conference in baseball this year. Team that nobody gave a chance to. A team that, including us, we joked about it yesterday on the show. That's your AAC champs. Nobody was there last night. Cameras weren't there last night. Cameras weren't there in the Fitch Boardman game. Folks, we mean it when we say it across the board for YSN. Go out and support these kids. You're going to be pleasantly surprised with the talent that they bring each and every night. Pleasantly surprised. And you're going to find yourself rooting for these kids. You're going to find yourself cheering for them because you're going to fall in love with the kind of people they are on and off the field. It's amazing to me that these games, and obviously when you get to the postseason, it costs a couple dollars, and a couple meaning 10. That you don't think that it's worth that, especially during the regular season when it's not a penny. You can just go up, roll up to a baseball or a softball field. Show up. Show up for these kids because you see the upsets now and you go, wow, I didn't know they were that good. I should have went out to a baseball. I should have went to a softball. Folks, there's no reason anymore. With the amount of stories, the amount of games, the amount of coverage that is out there of these teams, whether it's one of YSN's or not, there's no reason to not support these kids. There's no reason that they should sneak up on you. I had coaches tell me that they utilize YSN in a multitude of fashions because we keep them up to date on teams that they may play down the line in the playoffs. They also look and say, hey, we got rained out. We need a game. This team looks pretty even to what we're trying to do and can give us a push or a run for our money. How do we hook up with them? Hey, coach, click. Or, hey, DJ, can you hook us up with this? Absolutely. It's happened with Mohawk this year. It's happened. It'll continue to happen. I was so pleasantly surprised with last night. And I shouldn't say surprised. I was so pleasantly. I felt like a proud father last night watching these games happen, watching the United versus Crestview game happen. And obviously there had to be a winner and there had to be a loser. But both of those teams played their hearts out. They put it and they left it all on the field, which is what you want in high school sports. The level of disinterest is so high right now in the younger generation. I've heard it from several coaches. I've heard it from athletic directors, parents, and just fans. Wearing the high school jersey on your chest doesn't mean as much as it used to. I beg to differ. I really beg to differ. And I hope that I'm right in this. Because with travel ball and AAU and you name it, right? JO, all this stuff, there's a difference, right? It's a different feel. Do kids really get tired of wearing their school colors? Do they get tired of representing their school? Do they get tired of being on the same team for 4 years? Do they need change? Maybe. But I would argue that these AAU teams, these travel ball teams, should be almost like all-star teams, right? That we used to get to play on. You know, when we played back in the day, way back, you had 5 or 6 teams in your community, and you took 2 kids from each of those teams, and you created an all-star team. That should be what these travel teams are, essentially. In Ohio, and the OHSAA has rules where you can only have so many from your team on the travel ball team or on the community ball team or whatever it may be, because they don't want you basically loading up and playing the entire year together. They'd rather you be on an all-star team, quite honestly. And I'm behind that. Playing with the same guys, same 9, doesn't always make you better, right? You got a better feel for each other. You know what to expect from each other. But if you're on the same team for 4 years, for 2 seasons, a year, spring and summer, I'm not sure that makes you better. And there's arguments on both sides. But what I'm trying to get to is that the conversation of there's no school pride left. I think that's a farce. I hope that's a farce. I hope that's an absolute old person, old rochety, crickety, whatever you want to say, crotchety. Is that the word? Crotchety old man. People just say, well, there's no such thing as school spirit anymore. I disagree. I disagree, because if there was no such thing as school spirit last night, United would have just, you know what? Crest, you got us. We're good. Pack up your bags. Take your spikes off. See you on the bus. It was a good season. It was a good run. No. They are the Lady Golden Eagles, and they represented their school so fine last night. So much pride. So much passion. As did Crestview. Tell me those champion girls wanted to be done with their season. There's no way. No way. Siggy says the winners and losers last night proved it still exists, and I'm happy for that. I'm thrilled to see that. We're going to talk to Tristan Reynolds in just a few minutes. And East Palestine's taken a real kick in the boys the last few years about pride. And I've got a lot to say about it as a member of the community, as a guy that still and will forever bleed brown and white. I will argue that this might be, on the basketball side of things, the best hire East Palestine has made in the last decade. School spirit is going to return. They're going to return. It is going to return in a big way. And it's going to return in a big way to this area because we're going to push it in that direction. If you cannot control the narrative from a media standpoint, you don't deserve to be a media outlet. And we've seen that in America over the last, and not to get political, we've seen that in America over the last 2 decades. But where there is where there is great opportunity comes great responsibility. And if there's anything that and I mean this, if there's anything that I can do for forever, for as long as YSN exists, I'm telling you right now, it is my goal to bring school spirit, team spirit back to the communities, back to the schools, back to these teams and organizations. There's so much history and tradition and so much to be proud of. And do you always pick the right candidate for a job? You do not. And you don't do that in business either. I hate to tell you. If you're a business owner, you feel me. If you're a superintendent, you feel me. If you're a board of education member, you feel me. If you're a council person, you feel me. You don't always make the right choice, but more important than making the right choice is correcting the course after the wrong choice is made. Example A is East Palestine this year. They did a phenomenal job of looking internally and saying, okay, how do we fix whatever the problem is? And I give all the credit to Chris Neifer, who I think so highly of, the superintendent of East Palestine, Dwayne Pavkovich, who I cannot say enough great things for leading the charge on this. They brought in people to really cut into and understand what direction East Palestine wanted to go. Given the last decade of success and trouble, right, that they've faced, adversity, I feel they're going the right direction. I cannot be prouder in this moment, in this day and age, that they're giving the keys to a young man who has worked, who has studied, who has progressed both personally, professionally, spiritually, emotionally, who has faced his fair share of adversity in his life, to now becoming the new head coach, his first head coaching job, which is not easy, folks. He's going to need help. It's going to take a village. He's going to make mistakes, but he's also going to make great things happen. Tristan Reynolds, your new head coach of the East Palestine Bulldog basketball team. And of course, they made an announcement today with regards to football as well, which I absolutely loved. Everybody knows the relationship that I have personally with Tony Foster, the former head coach of the East Palestine Bulldog football team. Doesn't get a whole lot closer than Tony for me. He's been there for me through my personal triumphs and tragedies. He did what he felt was right for his family, and I support him 100%. Today and always. East Palestine had to look internally, and what I think they did really well today was they didn't look very far from the guy that has been the leader of this program for the last 10 years. They look at Michael Dempster, who has been a part of Tony's organization, Tony's program for the last 5 months. Because it's not, and I hope I'm not speaking out of turn, I don't think they were real upset with the way Tony was handling business, and they turned to Michael Dempster, and now they've got the buy-in. Because anybody that was bought in, and everybody was, to Tony, is now bought into Michael Dempster. Change is constant. Change is inevitable. Right? But the reality is, East Palestine changed for the better in the best way they could. With their backs up against the wall, it's a new era. A lot of people probably saying I'm making too big a deal out of this. Watch this video in about 2 years and tell me that I'm wrong. I'm happy to eat crow if I have to. But I think today, the Board of Education, pending, of course, East Palestine made 2 steps forward today in their basketball program. They kept things in their community and their football program, which is imperative. It's important. Couldn't be more proud to be a Bulldog. When we come back, we're going to have Tristan Reynolds with us, so don't go away. A lot more here on the YSN Power Hour. Don't you dare move a muscle.
It's a new year at Acura of Boardman and Boardman Mitsubishi with huge savings on over 350 fully inspected vehicles. We have cars, trucks, SUVs, minivans, and work vehicles. We don't have it, our team will find it. We aim for 100% credit approval with payments as low as $99 per month. And as always, we'll pay top dollar for your trade. For a great vehicle and a great experience, come see why everyone is stopping by at Acura Boardman and Boardman Mitsubishi.
You're not waiting to see what the world has in store for you. It's more about what you have in store for the world. All you need is the opportunity. All you need are the resources of a large university and the advantages of a personalized academic setting, where you can experience new worlds in the arts and sciences, business, and education, and make them your own. We are where you shape your future. We are Youngstown State University, and proud.
You know, being able to have success on the football field and the basketball court and just every aspect of, my sports career is now documented. One of the greatest things about high school sports is to be able to talk about it for the rest of your life and to look back on the days with my buddies whenever we would have some battles, whether it was with our rival or just another game. And I could go back and look at it and not only myself but my family members, my teammates, and it's something that will last a lifetime. My name is Parker Sherry, and my sports network is your sports network.
It's storm season.
I think we're under the gun for some heavy storms over the next couple of hours.
And Storm Tracker 21 is ready.
This is probably the one we're keeping a closer eye on.
On air.
And locally, we're going to have a lot of eyes on our area.
Online.
All right, let's talk high-risk futurecast and the timing of this weather.
On social media and on our app.
Notice we'll have scattered showers on Thursday.
Stay ready with Storm Tracker 21.
The severe weather threat now through around sunset this evening.
And welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, a very special moment here in East Palestine. As you know, as an East Palestine alum, near and dear to my heart is this beautiful school, Bulldog Country, and they bring in today, pending board approval, one of my good friends. We've shared the field together. We've had our moments of tiffs. We've had our moments of glory, and certainly that is right here, right now. Another one added to the scrapbook, if you would, of Tristan Reynolds and DJ Oakley here today. The new head basketball coach at East Palestine High School, Mr. Tristan Reynolds. Tristan, congratulations.
Thank you, brother. It means a lot. It means a lot.
So throughout this process, you're a Crestview grad, right? You started coaching at East Palestine, right? What grade was that?
8th grade.
8th grade, okay. So you come from a great family of coaches. Your mom, one of the greatest of all time at Crestview, and you look to carry that on. You come back to where you came from after a couple of years in Crestview doing their JV stuff. And now, 1 year after you're the JV coach in East Palestine, you're hired as the varsity coach. What is it about this town, this program, that means so much to you?
It's very nostalgic just to walk in the gym. When you think about East Palestine basketball, for me, I think about the Ben Geissens, the Austin Copes, the Jim Horns, the Binghams, the trophies, the tradition. It's just very nostalgic and doing things the right way. Coming up, I started with 5th grade, 6th grade, coached my little brother again in 6th grade. Finally got my chance. East Palestine took a chance with a kid, and I had a chance to return, and I couldn't turn it down. Absolutely could not turn it down. And
I think what stands out to me is your understanding of the heritage and the tradition here in East Palestine, because it hasn't always been this way. It hasn't always been where it is right now, but we're trending back towards that championship caliber. You mentioned the Binghams. I know that you know Tom very well. So who were some of the first calls that you were reached out to by? I'm sure a lot of people from East Palestine, myself included. Who were some of your supporters, people in your corner the entire way whenever you said you were putting in for the job?
I had a couple people reach out to me and ask me if I was going to go. A big proponent was Matt Warner. He does a great job with our youth, and I was a big part of what he wanted to do with our youth, and just being there for the kids. And so much, it was the kids kind of that draw me to put my name back in for it and get involved again. And absolutely, actually, Rick Gates was one of he's always in my corner. He actually called me last night. Was wishing for the best, and we got the best. So there's so many people. The list goes on and on. If I sit here and name them, we'd be here all day.
And there's nothing wrong with that, but I know that you're up against it, a time schedule here. Tristan, so one of the things that I was so impressed with you, and we talked about, is that nowadays a coach just can't be a basketball coach during the season. You've got to be a coach, a mentor, a leader all year round. And what you did on your Saturdays and Sundays, even after basketball season was over, was going to games for the youth and following the AAU circuit and things of that nature. Do you feel like something like that, because it's you, right? This isn't fake. This isn't something that is manipulated. That's who you are. Do you think that helped put you kind of and separate you from the pack here as the new coach of East Palestine basketball?
I really do, because I look at our youth program as the foundation. If you're building a house, you want a solid foundation, and that is our youth. And no one twisted my arm. I was going from Salem to United to Southern, and I was watching games left and right, catching some AAU games from our younger guys any way I could. And just seeing their faces light up, it made it worth it. I mean, obviously, I love watching basketball, but watching our youth go out there and do good things, it was awesome. Just being a part of it, sitting on the bench. It was just something you can't replace it. So absolutely, I do think that.
I think one of my favorite things is when people ask me about you, and they did. They said, "Hey, what do you got in Tristan?" High energy, a winning culture. Those are two things. The first thing that come to my mind with you, because you're a competitor at your very being. I mean, you represent our country right now, and you were like, "Hey, does this look all right?" Yes, absolutely. When you represent our country, we want you to be out there. East Palestine gets a good one. No doubt about it in my mind. But the thing that I love about you most, Tristan, is the fact that you're going to bring energy every night, no matter what's going on the scoreboard. These kids will compete, and they will compete for their jobs. They will compete for their communities, and they will compete for championship trophies. Where did you learn that, and how did you start really massaging it to make it yours?
Growing up, I played in a lot of successful programs, and even coaching. I've been in a lot of programs, win, lose. It's if you buy in to anything you do, you're, as a coach, your players are going to buy in as well. So if you're high energy and you're getting after it, they're going to want to get after it. If I'm telling, get on the floor, they're going to want to get on the floor. And it's just constant. And something I picked up, my mother coached for 30 plus years. She's in the Hall of Fame. So if you ever see the famous foot stomp, I got that from my mother. Absolutely.
I love it. If we need to see the famous foot stomp, that needs to linger around. Every coach and every leader is only as good as the people that are behind him. Talk to me about, have you talked about or thought about your coaching staff? I know that you have the dream team assembled already in your mind, but who are the people that you're looking to bring with you to take this program to the next level?
I have reached out to a couple different people. Coach Hill is sitting behind me. He does a great job with our tech stuff, and he goes above and beyond. There's stuff that he does, and I'm just like, that's awesome. I didn't even know you're doing that, but that's awesome. Heck yeah. I reach out to past coaches. Jeff Berger's a big guy that's in my corner. Matt Warner's a big guy that's in my corner, and the list goes on and on again of people to bring on. There's some other people we're kind of waiting to see, and I think we're gonna shock the world, but it's gonna be good.
Okay, so let's hit some hard-hitting questions here. All right, you ready?
Absolutely.
Obviously, from a standpoint of people that know Tristan Reynolds personally, they know that you've been a wild card growing up, but then you go into the Air Force Reserve, right? Things changed for you. You grew up very quickly in a short amount of time. To those people that say, well, look what he did way back when, What do you have to tell them about how you've changed and how your perception and how their perception of who you are should change with the man that stands before us here at Tristan Reynolds?
There's no doubt that the Air Force definitely was a big part of my life and give me just straighten me out. I wasn't anything like super crazy, but
Right.
the big thing is I lost the competitive edge, and I needed to find that. And being a competitor is, night in, night out, no matter what you do. And, joining the Air Force got me on that, finding that competitive edge again. And now I lead a group of 4 or 5 airmen that are, doing the same thing, that, showing up to work every day, doing what we got to do, and finding that competitive edge definitely is, it gets you back on the straight, gets you back on the focus, and it's something that you never want to lose. So the Air Force definitely reinstalled that in me. Yes.
You and I have talked a lot about responsibility, accountability from our days of being softball teammates in men's softball league to today. And learning that you're the new head coach. What are you going to take away and really instill into these 13 to 18-year-olds about responsibility, accountability, and taking action?
Hold each other accountable. And when I say accountable, it goes a long way, and it's more than basketball. It's in the classroom, it's in the hallways, it's in the street. Big thing I like to press is when we wear Bulldogs, it's not just on the court. It's in the community. When we walk in the Circle K, they say, "Hey, that's such and such. He's the point guard," or "That's such and such." We represent Bulldogs across our chest. The Bulldog way is what we need to get back to, and I think we're close.
Expectations for the coming, obviously the numbers were up last year from that standpoint in the younger grades. You being the JV coach, you've got a great idea of what you have coming back, and it sounds like there's another wave of great talent in the 7th and 8th grade. How do you build excitement and keep excitement based on you still need to kind of buy a couple of years for what you really want to do, but to your point, you can shock the world right now and go out, because the EOAC typically is a league that in a conference that's up for grabs each and every year. How do you make yourselves relevant right now?
And that goes back to competing every day. And you can say it, and something that sticks in my head when I think about this is we played Ursa when I was in high school, and every single day, Coach Cusick was like, "We're gonna win, we're gonna win, we're gonna win." And I'm walking off the field, I look at my best friend, I'm like, are we going to win? And you know what? We were competitive up until the 3rd quarter, and they pulled away. So it's buying into what we say. Compete every day. Show up every day. Hold each other accountable every single day. And just flat out compete. Go be a competitor.
What do you say to the people that have supported you and are so happy and elated right now? We put out the graphic probably an hour ago, and it's getting shares like you wouldn't believe, and people so excited for you, excited for their kids, excited for the community. What do you say to them? Because you have a lot of it, and it's been a while since this community's had this much support for one particular person and one particular program.
I appreciate it, and again, I can't tell you how many times just leaving a youth game I got like, "Oh, thanks for coming. Again, no one twisted my arm. I just love being there. And the people in my corner, it's so awesome. The support that I got, the people that have reached out, the whatever it may be, a phone call, as little as just saying, "Hey, that might be the guy." It goes a long way. It really does, and that weighs a lot, on me, and I'm going to continue to carry that, and I'm going to push forward, and I'm not going to let them down.
No matter, and I said this during Running Point today, no matter if this is your first stop or if it's your first and last stop, I know what East Palestine's getting. I know what these kids are getting, and they're getting a guy in a group of guys or a group of people, wink, wink, that care about them, okay? And what I love about that is this community cares, right? Listen, we're a small town. We can be nosy. We can be nebby if you're from Western Pennsylvania, but our town cares above all else, and that's a trait that you have there as well. And I think the best thing about you, Tristan, is that you take these kids as if they were your own. You protect them. You're going to ride the bus with them. You're going to make sure that they get home. Everybody's got a ride. Your coaching staff will make sure that everybody has been fed. it's more than just basketball. It's more than just hoops with you. So from your standpoint, final question for you here today. When people say, this is what we're getting in Tristan Reynolds, this is the legacy that he wants to leave behind, what is that?
The legacy is, we said it once, being a competitor, being the right guy. But you hit it on the head. Every kid that shows up and works, I will treat like my own. I can't tell you how many times I've stayed back and said, listen, if you want to stay back and do homework, you want to stay back and just talk, it's more in the game. And when I say it's more in the game, what that means is, like, I'm here for you. You know, show out, let's compete, I'm here for you, absolutely. But getting after it every single day, and that's what you're going to see.
A guy that loves his country, that works for this country, that is one of the best. I can't tell you enough how excited, how fortunate we are in East Palestine to have you, Tristan, now, and obviously I'm so proud, man. Like, an OG of the Power Hour, an OG of YSN, a huge supporter, and now you're getting your comeuppance, man. I'm proud of you and can't wait to see what you do with these kids, this program, and this community. So congratulations from the bottom of my heart, man. Could not be more amped up for you.
Thank you very much.
So there you have it. Tristan spending some time with us before he had to go catch a bus. He's actually coaching basketball or baseball as well. So the job never stops for Tristan, and it never will. And what I love about him the most, and I say I love a lot about this young man, because we've been in battle together. You know, we've been battle against each other. We've almost come to blows before on the same side of a dugout, because he's that passionate. He's that passionate about what he believes in. And that was one of my first lessons about not only Tristan, but his brothers, is they mean so well about everything that they believe in. They want it so bad. The competitive culture that we feel lacks in this area, not just in East Palestine, but in this area. Tristan is willing to go out and fight for it. He's going to bring it back. The dude needed competitive culture so much that he went and enlisted in the military. That's the kind of guy he is. When you have a guy like Tristan Reynolds, when you have a leader like East Palestine now does in Tristan Reynolds, you have a guy that is going to fight in the trenches, not only for your kids, but with your kids. It's something that it's a lost art. It's an old school thing. And he alluded to his mom. Hall of Famer, 30-year vet on the sidelines with the whistle. One of the best coaches in the history of Columbiana County. And I wish I was exaggerating. He has it. He has it. And he's been looking and waiting and trying to be patient for his chance, to the point where we're having 45-hour-long conversations about being patient and waiting for his opportunity. Did we know that it was going to come in East Palestine? We had no idea. We had this conversation 5, 6, 7 years ago. Tristan is a leader. He needs his opportunity. He got it today. What I love about this area is so many great leaders. So many great leaders. And all the role models seem to be pointing in the same direction when you talk about the Jim Tressels of the world. When you talk about the great business leaders in our area that have made an impact. Bob Sebo, Ed Moransky. So many out there that have made an impact, that maybe you're not starting your own business, but maybe you're opening business in your community to make your kids better, to make your community better. That's what I love about this. I love so much about this hire. And again, people are going to say, well, you're emotionally invested because he's your friend and listen, I'm going to be honest with you. If this guy wasn't my friend right now for the last 10, 15 years, he would be my friend as of today. He's an impressive, just unbelievably impressive human being. Think about how much you appreciate the people that fight for our country, right? The men and women who serve. Now, if that man or woman was doing it at the same time and he was in your, or she was in your community and she or he was leading your son or daughter, it's a no-brainer. East Palestine stamped their future today. And if you're asking Tristan, they probably stomped their future today. Wait till you see that foot stomp. When you make Tristan mad, it's the same foot stomp his mom has. It's stomp, and you're going to hear about it. You're going to hear that high-pitched voice on the sideline. But it's because he cares. His mom did it because she cares. There's so many great, again, coaches. And now Tristan adds his name to the list. He hasn't done anything yet, and he'll be the first to admit it. But I promise you, just as we finished that interview, man, that wasn't the interview I wanted. I didn't get what I wanted out to say. Trust me, young man, you'll have plenty of chances. And we'll take care of you. Because we know you're going to take care of the future of those kids that you're going to make an impact on their life. Mark Roth. Oh, my goodness. You want to talk about great people. Mark Roth. So let's get to that point. All right. So last night, senior night at Austintown Fitch. And seniors, obviously, we talked about this with Tristan off the record. Seniors it's a very special year. It's their last year of high school. It's their last year in sports, the last season. There's a lot of lasts that come, right? And people can be very, very timid. And, when it's August, it's the first last something, or the last first something. First last, that's what it is. First last something. But you still got a lot of runway, right? When you're landing that plane, you still got a lot of runway that you can land. You don't have to land quite yet. You can kind of, take it at your own pace. Then you get to December and it's the new year, and those letters come across and those numbers, the year of 2022. And oh my gosh, I graduate this year. Oh, but it's only January. I still got a lot of runway left. I can still land this thing, just kind of milk it a little bit. And then May comes. And then you're starting to think and counting down the days, you're getting to the single digits. These seniors, reality starts to set in. That comfortability, that what they've been doing for the last 12, 13 years, going to school every day, it's about to change one way or the other. It's about to become a whole different ball game. Those school colors, that school spirit we talked about earlier in the show, it's not going to be the same anymore. And last night, ladies and gentlemen, it hit. The last 2 days, it hit. And it hit me straight in the feels. Because and it's not going to get any easier. As an emotional person, a person that's invested not only in my business, but in these communities, in these kids, in these parents, in these sports, in these programs, in these coaches, when things happen and people walk away that you care so much about, and people move on that you care so much about, it's not easy for me to write those stories. It's not easy for me to hear these stories or see these pictures, and I give a lot of credit to the parents, because I'm not there yet. I'm not even close. And the one piece of advice is, it goes faster than you think. Don't blink, you'll miss it. 2 days ago, I saw online Nate Schick, who is the head coach of the softball team for Lakeview. Whew. All right, I'm going to try to get through this, all right? His daughter, Reagan, who I've known since she was a little baby, Nate and I worked together at Channel 33. He was one of the first guys that took me under his arm, under his wing, and said, stay with me. Nate got away with, and still probably gets away with, some of the craziest things I'll ever do, things that I can never get away with doing, because not only is he extremely talented, but he is the best people person I've ever met in my life. Nate's gone through it all. I mean, he's gone through it all. And I saw a picture that Reagan shared. It's she and her dad, who had coached her the last 4 years, hugging after presumably that was her last at bat in the Lakeview uniform, and last time she was going to be coached by Nate Schick, who is just happened to be her dad. And Nate responded on social media to that, and probably something that he didn't even know or that she didn't even want to be out there. He responded to it, and in the way that only Nate could. It's been a great run. It's heartbreaking to not be able to be your coach anymore, but I'll always be your dad. And as a guy who has been there, for the majority of the time, he's been a dad. I was just an intern when Nate was a videographer, and he just had Reagan with Shannon, and it was an emotional thing, because you think about it from a father standpoint, from a mother standpoint, when you get started with all of this, right? When you start when you're a T-ball coach, or you start when nobody else is going to step up, and you're a coach and you're coaching your kid, and some of you maybe not ever playing the game before, but you had to learn it because it's what your kid's into. You end up being a coach. You end up being their number one supporter. And then in Nate's case, a situation where I don't think Reagan's going on to play in college, that I know of at least. That might be the last time you see your baby play an organized sport. And those practices and those games that you're fighting your kid to even get in the car or the van, and some of you guys and gals are traveling all over God's green earth to get their kids to these games and support their habits, their hobbies, their passions, their dreams. It all comes down to one picture, and both Reagan and Nate crying. A father holding a daughter, a coach holding a player, where their hearts are broken because they know it's the last time. And then yesterday, actually this morning, after senior night, Joe Roth, one of my favorites, and it's not even close. And I don't think I have to be unbiased on this. Joe Roth's a young man I've known a long time. Mark and I met on a rainy day in Washington, Pennsylvania, in a hotel lobby, where he fell in love with the idea of YSN and thought how big it could be. I interviewed his son that day on a couch in that lobby, and the rest is history. I followed him all the way up through. Mark was a huge proponent in getting us into Austintown Fitch and keeping us at Austintown Fitch this past week. And last night, this morning, when I saw the picture by Miss Gebhardt, you have a Howland team and an Austintown Fitch team that squared off, and Howland won the battle. And Joe, you could see the emotions, and he just had it. He broke down. Everything, that plane he knows is going to land in the next couple weeks. And it's not easy for seniors. It's not easy to let go of the comfortable spot. But I will tell you this: if you're a senior, or you're a player out there, even if you're a parent, it gets better, because you get to control your destiny, and you get to control your opportunity. The same way that if you're a pitcher, you get to call your game. If you're a catcher, you're calling the game for the pitcher. The same way that if you're a quarterback, you can audible. The same way if you're a volleyball player, you get to choose setters. If you're a racer, or you're a track or a field star, you get to pick how good you get to be in this world. That's why sports are so important, ladies and gentlemen. And seniors, it sucks right now. Trust me, the you can almost hear the hearts shattering. I texted Gia Bristelli the other day, who's catcher. And I hate to, she's a former catcher now for East Palestine softball. And I told her the only advice I could give her is when it comes to an end, make sure you leave it all on the field. Never regret that. But make sure more than anything that you do not let anybody tell you when to take that jersey off for the last time. Because whether you bought that jersey, whether you think you'll ever wear it again, or you're just going to put it behind glass or put it in your room or put it for safekeeping, it's never the same. The next time you put it on will never be the same as the last time that you wear that jersey in a situation where you need to represent your school. And people laugh at this, but the best thing that we do here at YSN isn't the broadcast games, isn't the stories we write. It's the relationships that we make. And I would argue that one of the best things we've done is our All-Star games. And the reason that we make our All-Star games, we don't just print out shirts and hand them to people and say, you wear our brand on you. I want these kids to wear their jersey one more time. And it might be something on the line for them personally. We don't know, but there might be absolutely nothing. But you get pride to wear your jersey one last time. And you get to dictate when you take it off. Whether it be right after the game, whether you sleep in it till the next day, whether you get the dirt on it and you never let it wash off, and you frame the jersey like that. Seniors, enjoy every minute of this ride, because there will be a day, whether you know it or not, that you will never be able to play the game again. You'll never lace up those skates. You'll never put the tools of ignorance on. You'll never put that ball cap straight on your head again. You'll never put your hand in that mitt, that glove. You'll never have that spike again. All you'll have is memories. So make good ones. Make positive ones. And don't ever let anybody dictate when you take that jersey off that last time. Joe, we love you. Proud of you. No matter what, man. Love you guys. All of you guys. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the weekend. Again, seniors, hang in there. I'm getting a lot of invitations to grad parties. So hopefully you're enjoying the last and final moments of your high school career. And we're so proud of you and so honored to be able to be part of that story and part of that journey. So thank you very much. Have a great weekend. Everybody, will catch you on Monday right here on the YSN Power Hour. Special thanks again to Tristan Reynolds for being part of the show today, for giving us some time, even though he was booked, and giving us his first interview as the new head coach, board approval pending, of the East Palestine Bulldog basketball team. We're going to try to catch up with Michael Dempster next week and get him on here and talk about the football program, as well as much more and so many more student athletes next week. Baseball playoffs begin next week. That's going to do it. Again, peace out with you. Have a great weekend. We'll catch you on Monday, 3 to 4 here on the network. YSN thanks you for watching this presentation of your sports network. For stories, stats, and more, go to YSN.